Everybody always asks me how I get so good at things. And I just tell them I break it down into bite-sized pieces. I learn little by little. I take one thing and master that before I move on to the next step. Today's word is entelechy. That is the realization of potential. And you get there by turning theory into practical action. That means reading about how to swim and then going out and incorporating those learnings until you get it. I practice entelechy with every book and everything that I learn now. Because without that, I learned that I'm just learning and gaining knowledge for fun. I read that with any skill, regardless what it is, whether it's playing piano, learning golf, or learning how to sail. You will only master it and get better if you go through the tedious and exhausting practice that it takes to gain these skills. So don't just learn, apply the knowledge as soon as possible. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do to be successful. And that goes for these tedious and exhausting practices that you must do to master whatever it is you're trying to master and learn. Everybody always asks me how I get so good at things. And I just tell them I break it down into bite-sized pieces. I learn little by little. I take one thing and master that before I move on to the next step. So for instance, I taught myself how to cut hair. I didn't learn everything at once, you know what I mean? Like first, I learned how to shape up. Then I learned how to cut the hair down. Then I learned how to fade. It's like taking these smaller concepts and mastering those before you move on to the next. And then before you know it, you got a whole arsenal that you can put together to complete the skill, you know what I mean? And to even get to that point, I would literally watch stuff or learn what I had to and then apply that stuff right away. Like I would watch the video on how to do a fade. I would watch the video all the way through, then rewatch it a second time. But on that second time, I would get up, grab my clippers, go to the bathroom, and literally do the steps as they're doing them on the video. So that it is nothing that I'm missing. I am putting it into action as I'm learning, and it sticks with you that much better when you do that. You know what I mean? And you learning as you go. So it's nothing like that, man. Don't just watch it. Don't just sit around and then try to apply it later on. Apply it as you're learning right then and there. That is the best way for it to stick with you. That is the best way to get it. And then while you're doing that, only focus on a specific section. Even when I read my books, I don't try to read the whole book in one day or even a whole chapter. Sometimes if the chapter is short enough, yeah. But I want to take these smaller chapters and smaller sections of things and really, really get it. Like I might read one chapter, but I want to make sure that I understand that chapter to the fullest. I don't want to just go through and read the whole book. Why? Because then everything that I learned will get blurred. I want to read the one chapter, understand that to the fullest, and then go apply that chapter. You know what I mean? And then after I apply that chapter and I feel like that's in my soul and that's in my nature, then I will move on to the next chapter. But I've always been a, man of purpose. And I feel like learning that way and applying things that way will help it stick with you a lot better, and you'll get more out of it. You know what I mean? So don't be in a rush to learn everything at once or try to apply everything at once. Be strategic with it, and do make sure you're gaining the knowledge. You know what I mean? Make sure you're gaining the knowledge, but don't overload. It's a such thing as overloading. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you understand it and not blurring any lines. And, mastering one thing before you move on to the next. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to preach that today, man. Learn these skills and apply them the right way. And you know what I always say, man, put things into action right away. You know what I mean? Get the ball rolling, man. But, yeah, man, we out here. You know what you got to do. Get to it. I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow.